6:06, and I call this meeting to order the building committee. 2.1 presentation from maintenance director, Mr. Perez, regarding pending projects.
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, board members.
Good evening.
I'm going to go very briefly over the items you have in front of you. So we can have the presentation up here. And really, just to provide you kind of an overview of where we stand, we'll talk a little bit about the multipurpose facility. I could just tell you that everything that we've wanted to do in that facility is complete. From the irrigation, from the planting, landscaping piece, it's done. Hopefully Mother Nature continues to feed our grass and make it grow, because right now it's still a little thin in some areas. And erosion, nonetheless, is still being affected on one side of the building, but we'll be addressing that as the year goes by. Padding for that facility is going to continue. The wall padding is going to continue this week. We should have Mr. Chad Paddington, I can't remember his name. He is the one that's going to be doing the installation and fixing the issues that we had previously. So he'll stay this week and complete that task. It's been taking almost 5 months now, since we've last did the presentation to you guys on that. And so now finally we're getting the padding finally come in, and we'll be able to have it installed this week. The warranty requests that we've had through Mr. Ken Yarrington, which was the one I just mentioned, those are the ones that were damaged, I guess, by the company themselves. They're going to honor that. So it's on the warranty, they'll repair it. And again, Mr. Ken Yarrington's son is the one that's going to be doing the installs for that. And we just talked a little about the irrigation system, landscaping, and tree planting, which the tree plant or the tree themselves were donated, all 20 of them, and they look nice so far. Hopefully like I said, hopefully during the spring, they kind of develop a little bit. The parking lot surfacing, excuse me, I've talked to G&T, spoke to them this morning and yesterday as far as us having a start date for us to start the resurfacing of the parking lots. We should start somewhere mid-February, maybe sooner. So depending on the projects they've had, because obviously they had to go out and continue doing their part. So we're hoping and anticipating that we will have that completed, or started in February. So let's look forward to the February start date. And I'll provide that information as we move forward and to the superintendent, bringing it up that you guys.
Mr. Pettis, just to
Yes, sir.
elaborate on that, you're working with G&T, but you're also working with the drainage district, right, to make sure we get all the moisture out of that area?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me just provide a little. I want to talk to Ms. Sonia Lambert. She's the general manager from District 3. Even though they represent the county, they're not part of the county themselves as an entity. I found that out during our conversation with her. They are very different. They represent the state, which means if the facility, in this case, the facility that we're in right now, should have had a licensing agreement established. We do not have a licensing agreement to be able to work on the drainage part or piping that goes, or the inlet that goes out into the ditch. So the cost for us to do that, a license agreement, which allow us to work on it and repair it when we need to, is only probably about $450. And that's really the agreement that goes with them and the fee that the lawyer is actually going to charge. And then another $52, which is the fee for filing. In other words, giving us permission to work in the inlets when they are damaged. They do not do any repairs. We're the ones that are responsible for that, even though that's in their easement. Yeah, sir? Good question, sir. Wow. I don't know where today. There we go. Backflows, as you can see, the breakdown, we still have the same, this breakdown is the same. I'll give you just a little bit more fidelity on it. The totals that were tested from last year were 44. Of those 44, 21 failed. The parts have come in after, obviously, a few months, and we will have the started also this week. However, they're being challenged. The company is being challenged with COVID, so they're not sure how many they will start, but I was told they will start by tomorrow and get some people out, start working on those backflows and start doing the repairs that we need. The requests by the city as far as the backflows are concerned, we talked a little bit about the last time, though that is complete. We didn't give you an update at that point, but that is a complete, one part of it is. The second or the third backflow that they're requesting with a master meter on the fire line, we will coordinate with a contractor and have it installed. And that, again, once we get the contractor out there to verify the size of the line that we have to work with and install the backflow, then we'll do that. But we'll cover that.
Mr. Pettis,
Yes, sir.
as far as the 21 that failed, are those on the backflows, right? Is that because of their older systems, or is it just parts that are going out?
Well, two things. One is the maintenance part of it is supposed to be sustained every year and checked and verified to see the validity of the system. Because they had not been done previously, that was the reason it caused. And also age, obviously. If you go across any school system, doesn't matter what as many as you check them, they're going to go out. I'll give you a good example. La Palma, we had one that 2-inch that we had. Well, even though it's new, it went out on us after a year. So now we're getting to replace that. So wear and tear is hit and miss on some of these items. Luckily for us, Western Fire will replace anything under warranty. So if by them doing the work for us long term, we'll be able to sustain it. So right now the cost is going to be heavy because it's the first time that we're doing the entire district versus doing each. And the reason we're doing all at the same time is to keep it with the city. So that makes sure that we are up to date with the city and the requirement.
Because you're supposed to be tested once a year, right?
Yes, sir. It's once a year. So we'll keep it at the same time frame, tested, validated, so it doesn't change from year to year.
Sir,
Make it simple for us.
I got a quick question, sir. So you mentioned, Mr. Perez, that this should have been done prior, and apparently it wasn't. So my question is, do you have any documentation when the last time this was done? And how much?
We have no documentation that it was ever done.
Okay, can we
either by
have-
the city or us. So this keeps us up to date.
Okay, for documentation purposes, sir, can you please provide us with the amount of money it's going to cost us to do this?
On the
yeah,
repairs,
on all the failures and all this stuff, because this was.
39. Right now it's
yeah,
about
because-
39,000. It was already board approved for us to
Okay.
go and get it done. So it was about 39,000, a little bit over $39,000.
Okay. So this type, okay. So basically, you're saying it was never done before, but we're going to start it now, and now we have warranty moving forward with all the valves that are being placed.
We should be good. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mr. Pettis?
Yes, sir.
For someone who doesn't know, is there anything like the backflow preventer, like with other things, moving parts, like if you keep it lubed up or anything, does it make it last and work more effectively? Is there some preventive maintenance we can do to ensure that?
Other than testing, sir, preventive maintenance, we do spot checks. If there's any leaks, normally we can repair them ourselves internally. But if it's something that's beyond our repair, then we have to call out someone to come out and look at them. If there is a leak, it has to be retested for any backflow. And so that's the cost that's incurred through a vendor that we hire. And if it has to come out and do it, obviously it costs it can be anywhere between $80 to $120 for verification. And I'm giving you depending on the size of backflows. So you have different sizes out there. And then obviously there's a cost, because we submit a cost for permits for the vendor to come out and do the work. So that's included also in their pricing. But
Is
yes,
that
sir, that's about the only thing we can do.
the same vendor that did the testing? Is that going to be the same vendor that does the repairs?
For the test itself, to validate it, whether the strength of it when water goes through it, if it's sustained and the water pressure into the backflow.
Is it the same company that does the tests that's going to do the repairs?
No, it can be various. There's several companies out there that can do the testing. San Benito has about 4 different people. They're not really, they are calling themselves a company, but there's maybe one as opposed to, for example, a company which was hired because of the size of scope of work we were going to do. We needed a little bit more of personnel, if you will, to get out and do the work for us. I'm not sure if I answered your question. Was that the question you were asking?
No, I was just asking if the
Others.
people that tested the backflows are the ones that are going to repair them. No.
Right. I mean, we don't have the personnel to do the testing.
No,
internally.
I understand that, but we're not gonna fix the backflows either, right? We hired somebody to do
We
that.
hire, yes, ma'am, we hire someone.
So they're gonna, but they're not the same ones that tested the backflows, that tested the 44 backflows.
They did the testing of all the backflows,
So they tested them and they're gonna repair them.
right.
Okay.
Out of those 44, only the 21 are going to be repaired by the same company.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's one vendor for the whole thing?
Yes.
Doing the repair and also that has a certificate to test a backflow?
It keeps it because they'll be able to maintain it and sustain it for us over the period of years. So we can go to the back to their system and look at their files and be able to extrapolate the data. So for me, it's easier, and for us as a district, to maintain it at that level.
Yeah. So the company that is gonna repair them is also gonna do the future testing.
So that was Dr. Cruz's question, that it's one vendor that's doing both
Both,
items.
yes, ma'am. That's correct. The one that I just passed was just the number of backflows that you saw before, and that's marked on there in color. Let's talk a little bit about the projects, and I'm going very quickly on these. The banners that you saw that we're talking about earlier about the wind damage, well, those were damaged by the wind, so we're going to replace those. The POs are already done, pictures have already been sent, so we should expect those within the next 7 to 12 days from the vendor. Tennis courts, I know we're excited to get this done. However, it's taking a little longer than we anticipated. Holidays came in. Ms. Losanida, Ms. Joanne, the project manager, has requested to have a second review of the geotechnical report. And the reason is they're trying to determine the cost. The cost that was given by the last company was a little bit higher, and they don't believe what the work they had done was what they were expecting. So they want to have a second opinion. So that's going to take approximately anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. That's how long it took us when we did our portion for the parking lots. So it's going to take a little longer than we wanted to, but nonetheless, they're doing their due diligence on their part to make sure that they do it right, especially when it comes to the grading stabilization. And what is that? Because I know somebody will probably ask the question of what is a grading stabilization? That's really what they look underneath the earth to stabilize whatever we put on top of it, so that when there's no cracks in the future, they have to be able to stabilize, obviously, the earth piece of it. So given that, we're hoping that that was not included, by the way, in the cost that they submitted originally. So it can be substantially pricey, given the size of the scope of work they're gonna have to do.
So 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks?
Yes, sir. From the date that they do the core sampling. Yes, sir. And right now, not sure when they want to get it done, but normally they'll call us and let us know they're coming in. Sectional valves install are complete for the school district. So we don't have to worry for shutting off different areas of the wings or the whole entire school to close the schools. We'll be able to shut off at least parts of them and still be able to operate and not affect the education of our kids. HVAC and VMA boiler room roof replacement will start very soon. They have not gotten all the parts yet or all the materials they need to start the work on those two items. So we'll have new roofs on those two facilities that has already been board approved, by the way. And then the next we'll talk about will be the night lock research and the vestibule installation. But I think the vestibule installation is to be discussed as a separate item. Maybe it's my big fingers. The boiler room is the VMA. It's one of the, unfortunately, the liquid or the things that comes out of that system causes it to. Yes, sir. Here, behind it, you have some pictures of how this is going to look once the tennis courts are in place. Did they get back to us and talk a little bit about lighting? But that's something that Mr. Chris Cole is going to address tomorrow to him, and I'll give him an update as far as location is concerned for security purposes. I think there's no issue whether have it, but I'll let Mr. Cole address it since he's our energy director. I know I was asked, superintendent to look at night lock. This is just to give you a brief update on what it is and then the cost. We had a review, Mr. Michael Bettis came in, no relation, by the way. He came in and gave us a brief update on what it does and how it works. And what you see up there is exactly what he covered. The one on the left-hand side on my screen here in front of me, I'm not sure if it's on the right to yours, which says with floor plate, that's the one that we recommend because it fits on all doors. On the one without the floor plate, it fits only certain doors. And it's cost effective, obviously. And it works as far as security is concerned, from an active shooter, from anyone coming into the environment, want to cause harm, you can clock those doors and have no access. And it's already been proven across the states. Again, I think it's doable at 128 with insulation. That's not pricey. We have 1,161 doors. That replaces each door in the entire district. It includes administration building, obviously, and other buildings that we have out there besides the school themselves. I didn't put it or add it to our list, but we do have a quote, and those are the quotes that we were given. This is from Nylock. This is from a vendor from Nylock that's here in the Rio Grande Valley. His name is Michael Pettis, and he's the one that gave us the information. We talked to the company, the main company that's out of Michigan. We can probably, we're looking right now, that's why I didn't put it in here into our file, but I want to give you an update on what we've done. And the reason is we're trying to find out and determine how to best do our purchasing. So Mr. Cavazos and I are looking at two ways of doing it. One is doing with a company and then us hiring the installer separate, or having the company and then the company just pays the installer. We don't like to call it a sole vendor but they're all the only one source that is here, yes. Yes, sir. I mean, we can buy it separately, but we won't get the benefit of the install. We would have to do them ourselves. A lot of doors.
I'd just like to make a comment. I sent this to Dr. Carmen, and within days, y'all started working on it and getting quotes and stuff like that. Not this particular company, just these locks that I had heard of helped in certain situations. And I really think that we're getting a good bang for our buck, because this will essentially lock every single door with the push of a button, or?
It just locks, just locks it, and that's it. What they do provide is a key, which is, it's a little tool they have for removal. If you get yourself locked in, you'll be able to unlock yourself, but this only be provided to certain people in the district. Not everybody will have the ability to get into the lock, and it'll be in a system also that they provide at no cost. It'll be mounted on the wall, where it can be, a teacher can have access to it.
Isn't there another vendor that we can?
Not
buy
with this
for
product, no, sir.
This is the only one?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Was Mr. Cavazos, were you involved with this? Were you involved with this deal?
I am helping Mr. Perez trying to find out how we're gonna, I know that the company from Michigan is part of a TIPS contract. The local person, I think, is not, so.
Correct.
Me and him are still working through the motions of how we can do it.
And again, this was just to give you feedback on what's out there as far as security is concerned. And I think it's, two schools here in the Valley has them, Mercedes and Donna. And I think he's working on another one. I'm not sure if it's Edinburgh or not, but he mentioned 3 schools, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I'm just concerned about the vendor prices and all that. Yeah.
Well, and we understood the same thing because we've talked to the company. The company gave us the same pricing. He is not doing any more than what the company has provided. So it is, he is being upfront. He's not doing anything more than the company themselves will charge.
So this would be done at the elementary schools only, or all the schools?
All schools, sir.
Okay.
The quote that you see
Every
up there
single
is,
door.
yes, sir, is for
So how
every
many
door in the
doors
district.
total in our district?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, sir.
How many doors do we have?
1,161.
Okay, 1,000.
So it's $1,000 a door,
Basically.
basically.
No, it's Well, 120 per door, roughly. 120, yes, sir. $60 for the install, and then it's $49.95. They gave us a $10 discount if we bought over 100, which obviously we would do that. So instead of paying $59.95, it came down $10 off the top.
You know, Mr. Pettis, I have to agree with Dr. Cruz here with this situation here. I mean, we've always, talked about safety for our kids and safety. I mean, we put fences on all our campuses and locks and so on and so forth. This is just an additional measure to protect our staff and our kids. And I think, you can't put a price tag on it, I think it's a great idea. I think we need to do it, sooner rather than later, I think it's just a great measure for everybody to be additional safety for everyone.
And we'll provide more fidelity, and again, I just wanted to give you an update of where we're at, because again, it goes back to the issue of whether it's a sole source or not. Is there other vendors? Yeah, there are,
That's my
but.
only concern.
Yes, sir.
And I agree with Mr. Lopez, but my only concern is, him being a sole source, so.
Well, again, he's the only representative with this type
Have you
with this
talked
type.
around?
Yes, sir.
Eddie, have you chopped around for some other vendors
If you
that
look
have
around for other vendors.
Have we shot around?
Yes.
I don't know, Mr. Pettis is the one spearheading this. I mean, he says he's a sole source for this particular one.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there's probably others similar to it. Could be. We haven't looked into it, but.
I'm for you, but, being maybe we could get a better price from somebody else, if there is somebody else. You know,
We'll do. And again, this is again just to give you some feedback of what we've done so
and I
far.
thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
And please provide a timeline, sir, because we've already exposed this, of course, this meeting's recorded, so everything already's been exposed as far as the safety issues concerned, and it's very obvious that we're in agreement that this needs to get done. So I would hate to shadow this just for a monetary situation, to save a couple of bucks here and there when the safety of our kids and our staff are at stake here. So we've already presented this, so if you can bring it up, if you can do it quicker.
Yeah, but maybe by Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe by Tuesday.
If you can, I don't know if you,
And we'll get it
Agenda
done this week. It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, for us, it's not that difficult. The difficult part is just being to compare apples with apples, and you're not going to compare apples with this. And that's the reason I said that is the only type, because there's nothing to compare it with. There are similar products, but nothing to compare with what they already offer.
We appreciate that, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And if you could get us by Tuesday also, the list of school districts maybe in Texas that have it.
Will do.
Any other questions? 2.2, review discussion regarding the storefront vestibule proposal pricing for Sarmiento CISA.
Right, in front of you, you have, what we did is, Superintendent asked, what we do to secure additionally our areas when it comes to COVID. So if the entrance of every facility that you go to, most of them, matter of fact, but two don't have areas where you can prevent from students, families to go in and isolate them. So what we want to do is do this exactly that, using extra funding to be able to isolate people as they go in, and before they even get buzzed into the school or let it go into the school, they'll do their check, verification, everything right there and then, before they get buzzed into the facilities. And so we went out with this company, A1 Facilities, to be able to do the work for us. So what did they do is they provided the entire scope of work. They did the engineering part of this. Obviously, I didn't do the engineer part because it'd be very tough to go to each school. So they did that for us at no cost. They also gave us and provided us a negotiable price, meaning we can go back and negotiate because they're part of a, what's it called already? Forget, a part of a not part of TIPS as well. But I think they have two of them. TIP is one. But nonetheless, we were able to negotiate pricing. I was able to negotiate all of them to a price. We can even go back and renegotiate if we need to. So if you don't like what you see as far as the pricing is concerned, you let me know. We can go back to the vendor and do that. And so what I have in front of you is a monitor CAS access control. What does that mean? Each of the schools that I checked doesn't have access controls, not to every one of them. Some do, some are operational, some are not operational. So this is what we'll do, is be able to address that upfront. The cost of each is $6,950, which, by the way, they're part of the, we can be integrated, and there's no licensing fee because we already have them on board, and they're already an approved vendor. So we already doing business with them as such. The cost monthly is $34, I believe, per month, so $407 a year to be able to maintain them and be able to do the work they need. So why did I include it in here? Because I want to keep it together, since we're going to start building and do it at the same time, and not do it separately. That's the only reason I added the monitored access controls. And obviously, Chief and I talked about this. Superintendent talked to Chief, and I talked to Chief, so they make sure that we all in agreement with what we wanted to do. So the total cost is $510, $442.80 for the vessels themselves, and then on top of that, you would add the access control monitor cast that we had on there for $105,000, $540 respectively.
It's two separate.
When you mentioned these vestibules, when I saw this on the agenda, the campuses that automatically came to my mind were the high school and Sullivan.
Correct. That is exactly correct. You're spot on, ma'am.
So that's exactly what we want to do across the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you can close them, and the high school, the only thing that doesn't have, that we will be updating, is the access control that my chief and I talked about, and then obviously the superintendent. So that will be upgraded separate from this, but that will be upgraded because it's needed in that area.
Okay.
I have two questions. It says bond cost. What is that, bond cost?
Eddie, you want to cover that?
Is-
The bond cost? I don't want to mess it up. I think I know what I'll say, but I think he's better
Any
at this time.
construction project that the companies do here, anything over 25,000 requires a payment bond. Anything over 100,000 requires payment and performance bonds. So just in case something goes wrong with the construction, we go back after their bond.
So it says
Assuming
as
that's
may
their
be
bond cost. I
applicable.
was wondering the same.
What is it, as may be applicable?
Excuse me?
It says as may be applicable.
That's something that the companies go out and get I don't know what the rate really is.
Okay,
But we
okay.
require those bonds before they start construction.
Okay. And A1 facility is the sole vendor on this, or?
We use them. They came on board to talk to Eddie and I about this, and they're under tips because, again, we can use a company that's under tips to be a source. Could we go out and do the work? Yeah, but then I would have to go out and get an engineer for each of the facilities, which I think would be more costly to us, as opposed to having that company do it at no cost. And that was the reason that actually was, for me, a plus, that I didn't have to go out there and use engineers, or in this case, architectural engineers to be able to do the work. So he did everything at no cost to us. And obviously, again, it's a gain for the district, as opposed to us paying more out of pocket. Because that's a little bit more pricey, because you're talking about 16 buildings. One of them has 2 of them. So, plus it's not the work itself, when it comes to what they got to do, it's not cheap. And again, it's negotiable. You tell me and I'll go back, but.
I'm a little confused just as to why La Paloma has La Paloma and the new library entrance.
La Paloma doesn't have an entrance, or they will not have an entrance. We see it on site when they come in, we'll close that out. So that's included in here. They'll close that one side, open the other end on the hallway, so there'll be the entrance to the library. So that we'll close that one side completely, be able to not access it from the inside, in other words.
It'll connect.
It'll connect, yes, ma'am. So we'll move the entire door to the other side, in other words. What we'll do is just close it, meaning we'll frame it, but we will not remove everything from there, because in the future, we may need it again.
Because in my mind, you're creating a vestibule for the library and for the campus, but this is just making it one.
Yes. Yes, sir. Well, for us, for La Fuente, it's the same process, because we looked at the door, because there's an entry door there. We talked about whether closing it or not. She has no use for it, meaning the principal at this point. So we can either also do the same thing. We did not add to the price, but I don't think he to just close it out, it's not gonna be an issue. It's not a lot of work they have to do. Anything else? I did say it was gonna be quick. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Yes, sir, Mr. Silva. Yes, sir. Well, it's not a concern, it's just well, yeah, it is. So, I know we're going ahead with the project with the tennis courts. I get it. I think it's a great tool for our kids, great resource for our kids. But I think what we need to start doing is looking into board also for tracks. All our three middle schools don't have a track. There's several of our elementary, or two elementaries in the rural areas don't have tracks. So I think it's something that we really need to focus on, because there's way more participation in track than there is in tennis. I think, that's one of those things that we need to focus on, because I know it's been a topic for some time now. So I know everything's scarce right now. I know we're looking into a lot of different things, but I really think that we need to put our heads together and figure out how we can do that for our kids and make it easier for them, accessible for them to utilize it at their campus instead of having to bus them to
I agree with you,
wherever.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Because, you know the way it is right now, so it's just something that I think we really need to look into.
Mr. Lopez, there's
Yes.
also, that's good you mentioned that, because I had mentioned to Ms. Perez that I wanted to sit down with her and see what we can do for our next budget, include some items suggested as.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Your track,
Yeah.
and maybe we can talk about some other items.
Yes, sir.
that Would like to be.
Mr. Silva, I think that's a great idea,
That's a
sir.
good idea.
That is.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank you, Mr.
the opportunity.
Thank you.
Next item, adjournment. 6:38.